guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. Erin is back with me for this recap, and I realized after doing it by myself last week how different it feels. I really missed having you participate.
It was a really short video. Did you notice that? It was like 30 minutes long.
Was it? Well, and I felt like, because I all of a sudden kind of was uncomfortable because I'm so used to being able to discuss things with you that I missed that. Russell's tail in the camera. Anyway, so glad that you're feeling better, and the kids are feeling a lot better as well. Samantha still has a little bit of a runny nose, a little bit of a cough, but those things kind of linger.
She's pretty happy though.
She's happy and bright and this close to walking. I mean, she'll stand for like 10-15 seconds unassisted, not holding on to anything. She wants to move everywhere and go upstairs, and I see her eyeballing our fireplace like, I can climb those stairs or those rocks.
Yeah.
Benjamin wasn't like that. She's more of a climber, so we're gonna have to like be anchoring everything down here pretty quick. Anyway, let's just jump into last week's videos. It was a pretty busy week, even though we had some sickness go through. Did we skip a day?
No,
One day?
So.
We didn't.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of the week for me. I mean, I did not get sick. I'm thankful for that, but it's rough when you've got two kids sick and you're sick, and I'm surprised we didn't skip. I feel like we did. Or should have, maybe,
we did.
I don't know.
We skipped last week, but also your week is like from like Thursday to Thursday,
That's
I think.
true.
Or something
I'm
like that.
off that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. All of that said, let's jump into the videos from last week. The first one was planting a haywire fall cypress and a skinny fit ginkgo. Just a couple of new things that we put out on the new property / South Garden. Need to remember to call it that. First comment was from Jane. I cannot believe how fast the grass has grown. It seems like Erin just seeded it. It looks so green and filled in already. Your property is beautiful and you should be so proud of what you have accomplished. I cannot wait to see it in a few years' time with all the beautiful trees and shrubs. That's a super sweet thing. And sometimes I have to step back and kind of remember, and we did that in one of the videos this week. We kind of did some project updates, and when I saw the drone footage of what that looked like, I mean, I know what it looked like, but what it looked like the beginning of just the season versus what it looks like now, that gives me so much, like,
pretty amazing.
Yeah, so much excitement for the future, and I'm excited to see it in a few years too. I mean, I'm just, especially along that back, like up against kind of our neighbor's property, we've really planted a lot in that particular area. I don't know why, but the layers are starting to show up, and I can see like the different fall color, and that it's looking on point right over there, which is so exciting. We still have a lot of space to fill over there, which I think what we'll be doing is like next spring. I wasn't able to get my hands on any forsythias or lilacs this late in the season, or even like midsummer. I started to kind of look for them, but I think next spring we'll be decking it with spring stuff that looks really pretty, and so we'll have to wait kind of till the next season to see that. Anyway, Heather said, is the ginkgo sterile, or is that even a thing? That is a thing. I asked because my parents have a beautiful large ginkgo on their property that drops smelly orange seed pods every year. Was wondering if there are more improved varieties out there that don't do this. So ginkgos are what is called like a dioecious, I think that's how you say it, which means that they're either male or female. So the female ginkgo trees do form a flower seed pod thing that stinks, and the males do not. So the skinny fit is a Ginkgo biloba menher is the like botanical name, and it is a male selection, so it won't have that issue. DCNY69 said, how much coffee did you have? Was I talking really fast in that video?
Well, you do get a lot done.
How many cups of coffee do I drink in a day? 3 in the morning, which is typical. 1 late morning, 1 maybe in the afternoon, not in the summertime, and then 1 in the evening. I don't know, 6, 7. I drink a lot of coffee. Tammy said, do you have a favorite hand cream? My hands are always rough from gardening. I'm embarrassed to shake someone's hand. Oh, I totally know what you mean. I mean, it's just kind of the life of a gardener, I guess, but I really like the shea butter from Body Shop. I've always liked that. I've ordered that for a long time. It just comes like in this little tub with a screw lid. I use it on my feet too. It works really well, and it's a light smell. It's not like super overpowering, and it's not greasy. I like that. I don't like something to feel like it's left over on my hands forever. Our Montana homestead said, what are the red orange trio of shrubs 725? Were those the sumacs? Mm-hmm. Tiger eyes sumacs. We planted those earlier this season, and I talked about their fall color, and we have enjoyed that fall color for weeks. I feel like that plant has looked beautiful for a long time.
Yeah.
This fall anyway. It's been a good fall for fall color this year. Russell is just full of it. He just like sprung up into the lilac and he's running around and like arching his back. I don't know what he's doing. He's having a fun time. Connor said, do you keep all of your tags from plants for reference later? Would be curious how you organize everything, seeds, tags, etc. I actually don't keep any of my tags. I feel like we make videos about not everything, but most everything that we plant. So I have a reference there. Sometimes it can be hard to find though. Like when I was doing the tour of the pretty berries in our garden, I could not remember exactly what zones or exactly the name of the hawthorn. I knew like it was a small statured tree, but yeah. So to find that video, because it's like 4 years ago that we planted that, it took me a little while to track it down. So it would be nice if I could figure out a way, but I'd have to have binders and binders and binders and tubs for plant tags. I have shared in the past how I organize my seeds because I do have a lot of seeds. So that would be found probably in like a seed inventory video or like a seed unboxing video in the past. Maybe how I organize my seeds. Do I have a video called that?
Probably.
I don't know. JTV USA said, don't you consider having a pond somewhere in your property? Absolutely. I think that's probably something that will come later on. I mean, we do plan on moving the one that Greg came and installed in our yard. I think we're going to install that somewhere else because it's a pondless, so there isn't any opportunity really for the kids to, you know, have any kind of mishaps in that. We did initially, in my initial design of the front garden, I had a huge pond in there and they designed it. Like Greg's designer had it all kind of worked out. And we just kind of, especially like you were a little...
Well, it was expensive too.
It was expensive.
It wasn't like he was going to come do it for free for us.
Yeah. We'd have to save for a little while. And with the kids, kind of the timing will work out nicely as we save for it. And then the kids will grow up a little bit more and we won't have to worry quite as much. Now, my parents do have a swimming pool. So we try to, like with Benjamin, get him in there as soon as possible. You know, I had Samantha in the pool this year, you know, holding her, obviously. But we'll do swimming lessons. I think swimming lessons is next year, at least for Benjamin. So out there. Got to have him familiar with that. Next video was unorganized studio tour and potting up new house plants. So in that video, Benjamin and I were actually out in the studio showing you kind of what it looks like. Everything, it wasn't horrible, but every area in that barn and studio becomes kind of a dumping ground during the summer when we're so busy with other things. I have areas like that in the house too. Our butler's pantry is what it's called. It's the kitchen on the old side of the house. It's kind of our landing place for just like junk, like projects I'm working on in the interim, stuff that, like I have the chandelier for the cut flower shed sitting on the table in there until the cut flower shed's done because I don't want that beautiful thing to be out in the barn somewhere. So, you know, we just have those spaces. Studio has become one. We did a little bit of organizing kind of in the center of the space and potted up houseplants that I had bought, I don't know, weeks beforehand and just hadn't had a chance to repot. So that was fun, moving some stuff up to the front sun porch. And then Benjamin did some potting as well. Roots and Wings said, I'm giggling so hard. Benjamin is absolutely correct. You'd be sad if he weren't out there with you, and so would we. He's just the cutest and sweetest kid ever. He really is. I enjoy having him around so much, and he just kind of like, he comes and goes and he tries to sneak on me, and he, you know, 3-year-old sneak style is pretty loud, and I can tell when he's coming, and like, I can hear him in the gravel, I can hear him start to laugh, you know, behind a wall, corner or whatever. But yeah, we had a discussion out there about the sweet potatoes because I have sweet potatoes still sitting out there. They need to move to the root cellar probably today, but I had them sitting out there and Benjamin had taken a bunch of them and put them all in a row somewhere else that was kind of in the way of where we needed to be walking. So he was trying to convince me that leaving them there was the way to go. I convinced him in the end that he needed to put them back on the burlaps.
It sounded like you more just told him. Well,
in the end, but I let him kind of like, you know,
come around to the idea.
Well, it's kind of like how we deal with stuff. Yeah, I'll listen to you for a little while, and then in the end, you know, we'll just see what happens. In the end, you got your grass pathways. Yeah. Brandy said, do you have someone that cleans your windows on the sun porch? I have many windows and French doors, and they always have little fingerprints on them. Yes, we do. We have somebody come in quarterly and wash windows in and out in the house and the outbuildings, actually. And the greenhouse has not been washed yet. It is filthy. I'm thinking we should probably do, even though the floor is going to be powder until next spring, I feel like an interim clean would probably be a good idea, just to kind of get everything, like
Yeah.
not let it build up so much. But we've got a guy who comes in, does a fantastic job. He's got all the right equipment. That's the thing. Like, if I had all the right, would I do it if I had all the right equipment? It'd get done once a year maybe, if it was up to me. But it's been a huge blessing to have his help on the windows, but I still get fingerprints on all of the, especially like the kitchen door, because you get I've got artwork hanging on it right now, Benjamin's artwork, so you see that on your approach. But Samantha, now that she's crawling around and pulling herself up on everything, she's just like, she's pushing more teeth right now. She's just full of drool, and she likes to open mouth kiss things, and so there's just like this big like of drool just dripping down the door. So while she was sick last week, maybe it's good that it all kind of happened at once, but she has two bottom teeth already, and she's pushing both top 2 teeth and another one on the bottom. Poor thing. Like, no wonder she was just so down and out last week. Anyway, Tammy said, I have an insulated but unheated potting shed. I also use a small heater in the cold months here in zone 5. My question has to do with spiders and webs. How do you control that? Can I spray something to keep the bugs out? You can, but weekly once over with a broom works really well too, just to kind of keep those things down. My mom has the same thing. It's an enclosed but unheated potting shed, and that's kind of what they do. Just a little bit of maintenance, a little more often, and it keeps up on those things really nicely. You can do sprays, but in terms of residual to keep them out, if you're wanting to stay organic, it gets a little bit hairy. I mean, you can do spinosad and things like that do have a little bit of residual, but I don't know how they would work as a barrier spray exactly. There are some synthetics that work as barrier sprays pretty well, and if you've got a really bad problem, like, I'm not opposed to doing that. Anyway, you can look into options that way. Diana said, what brand is the lightweight stick vacuum? That is a Dyson, and I don't know, that's our initial, like our original Dyson.
We bought that a long time ago.
So we've kind of like upgraded Dysons as we go, and as we've got more space. Did you buy me that Dyson when we first moved in here?
I think we had that.
Or was it at the last house?
I think we had that at the last house.
Yeah, we've had it for a really long time. It's still, that one in the studio is the one that works the least. We have 3, because when we moved in here, I had that one, I think, downstairs, and then we figured, I think you bought me another one, surprised me with another one for upstairs, because, I don't know, I needed one in the plant room so often. It was nice to have one up there and then one downstairs, so I didn't have to pack it anywhere. And then we eventually, when we got the studio, we moved one of them out and got another one for inside. So they're like different models. Which is the latest that we have? That one works the best.
I think our latest model is like a absolute 10, or I forget what they
I don't know. They've probably come up with several other models after that.
But I think it's something 10.
Yeah, they've all worked really well for us. Anna said, Laura, what kind of moss do you buy for your houseplants that you dress? Usually, I didn't have any for this video, but usually I like the Super Moss brand preserved sheet moss. That's my favorite, because it's a moss that's not alive. It's preserved sheet moss. It's dyed, but it's not dyed in a way that looks fake. It still looks really natural, but it maintains its green color for a really long time. Unless you have it in full sun, it will bleach out in full sun after about, I don't know, a year. It'll look quite a lot lighter in color, but for the most part, it stays nice for a long time. Eat More Barbecue says, do you think your studio will ever become the studio you first envisioned? Or now with the Hartley, will that become your prime indoor filming location? No, I think the studio will become what we envisioned, or I envisioned. I don't know.
I don't know that it ever really will.
I think it will, just because it's more controllable.
Yeah.
I found a hutch that I think is really pretty. I'd love in there.
If you end up taking most of your plants out of it, it may become the studio that we envisioned.
Yeah.
But only if the plants leave.
Yeah.
The plants
Which they will. I mean, now that we have a heated greenhouse.
But you still have all the lights, and I don't know if those will move anywhere. It's hard to say.
It'll be a shuffle. The Hartley, we will film in there. It's going to be a learning curve, though, just like the studio's a learning curve. Every space is a learning curve unless you have perfect light all the time. It's hard. Lighting is tough, and if you've got an overcast day like right now, it's just perfect because you don't have light, dark. You know, that's tough. You don't have harsh shadows. In the Hartley, it's going to be interesting. We have all the shades.
It's going to be an audio issue in the Hartley. We need to get a lot of plants in there before we can film, because there's going to be a lot of echo in there.
I can do that. I can do that.
And we might need to have the shades down to help with the echo as well.
And possibly an outdoor rug or two. which I'm good with as well. I mean, as soon as we have the floor in, putting a couple of outdoor rugs down would be pretty.
Yeah.
I think. You know, audio is still a little off in the studio too. It's a bit echoey, but not bad. Not horrible. Wimberly said, I just love following along on your journey. So many projects. Do you have a system for organizing your lists and projects? I bought a house recently and both front and backyards are in project mode all the time. I can't seem to find a system that works for me. Any help or inspiration would be super appreciated.
It seems like the only thing that we really go to is just Google Sheets. Like we just have a list of things, and then we lose that Google Sheet and we create a new one. Like it's like letting your room get messy again. You're just like, I fell off the bandwagon, I'm not going to keep cleaning it, and then one day you go through and like clean it all up again. It's kind of how we are with organizing projects. You know,
and even like right now I have a running list of projects in a sheet that I read off to you the other day, and sometimes some of them fall off. Like it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't even either fit into the schedule, or I decide that I don't want to do that after all.
Ideas sound good until you actually start getting into it and you're like, oh no, that was actually a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then,
Sorry, we can't be more help. It's just kind
Google
of
Sheets.
Google Sheets, and we just I actually have started a Google Sheet, and I have all of because I've been cooking a lot lately and trying new recipes a lot, and so I've been creating there's a sheet. It's all in one kind of sheet, but there's different pages, and I've got one of all like tried and true stuff. And so like if I'm struggling trying to figure out what I want to make for dinner, I can just look off that list and just pick something that I know like I've got everything to make that, and then I have a list of all of the new recipes I want to try, and then there's like a little checkbox with whether or not I have the ingredients to do that, and if I do, I can look on that list and pick something new, and then I have an ongoing shopping list and so on. So far it's kind of a little bit complex, but it's been a fun thing to do this fall as we're kind of going in. What is he doing? Russell's just like full of beans this morning. What are you doing? The next video is planting the kitchen window box and bringing begonias inside. The kitchen window box just needed a refresh. I had some plants that had fizzled a little bit and some that still looked really good. There were 5 Pegasus begonias in there, which have proven to be an amazing house plant. And I decided that I would like to get those pulled and repotted and brought into the sun porch before it gets too cold for them. So anyway, I also have some leftover plants, or not leftover. I have plants I intended for another project, which are showing up like in all of our containers. It's very red, white, and pink, but I've been enjoying it. It's just fresh and it's kind of nice. It's a good feeling to use those plants and not let them go to waste. So top comment was from Becca. Laura, I'm into a clean container look right now. Also, Laura fills one box with 800 plants.
Sounds about right.
It is true. And then Zara said this comment better make it to the weekly recap video. Well, here it is. In my defense, fall plants don't grow. So if you don't deck your containers or window boxes out and make them really full looking, they just won't look full. So there you go. Also, some of those plants like the pansies, I mean, you saw what those look like on their own. If you don't smash them together with other things, they're going to look bad. So
they're also pretty inexpensive too.
Pansies?
Yeah.
Yeah, pansies are cheap to buy.
It's a cheap crop.
It is a cheap crop. Yep. Jessica said, very nicely done. I want to ask, how did you connect the drip system in the window boxes? Because I didn't see a line coming up from the ground up to the boxes. It's because it's running along the side of the house, like kind of tucked under.
But not hooked in.
Not hooked in.
We're not using it.
It originates on the other side of the house, and it feeds every single window box along that side, and we just figured out like we ran it way too far. It was working okay.
Yeah.
By the kitchen window box, it was a little spotty.
We need to get the house painted.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to take it off until we paint, because we'll pull it off, paint, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah. I think in the end, I'm only going to have window boxes on the 2 underneath our, like in the portico, that I always pot up. I planted them up for fall earlier, and then the one on the kitchen window box, and we'll just water them by hand. We won't have any drip tubing. And then the other windows, I think will be better clear, because we do intend maybe on building a porch around the whole, like a wraparound porch around the whole thing, and it's going to be fairly narrow, and window boxes just take up that little bit of extra space, that it would be nice to have chairs, and then you could do like more slender pots here and there, but window boxes do take up, especially if you've got plants that want to grow, like those chocolate drop coleus one year, massive plants. They just got so huge, and sometimes you just do that, and I don't want that happening and taking up a bunch of space on the porch. JG Lake City said, is there a reason why your fountain isn't running? Oh, the one right here, probably. It's because I never got it fixed. It splatters everywhere. And so I don't know if it's, I think I had it level, like really level, but I've got some putty. I'm gonna try where the water spills out of the top. I want to try, because what is happening is it's running, like it's wicking back toward the center of the statue, and then it hits the statue and splatters everywhere. So I would like to try to figure out if I can direct the water to where it spills more straight, and I might be able to do that with some putty. I just never did it this season. I have the putty. It's rolling around in the back of the truck on the floor in a little roll. I'll get there. Dana said, will those flowers last all winter? They have a better chance of lasting there than anywhere else because they're under protection. They rarely, I mean, if it gets really like bitter cold, they'll start to look pretty sad. But if we have a mild winter, it's likely that they'll still look good in the spring. Just got to maintain water every 2 weeks. Sally said, I got a reply supposedly from Laura asking me to contact her on WhatsApp. Ugh. I noticed many other comments had a similar reply. I'm assuming this isn't legit. You are assuming correctly. Could you please let us know? Yeah. Scammers. Like, there's just...
I'm not sure why YouTube and Facebook won't do anything to fix it.
Because it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of infuriating. And I feel like it discourages people. Well, I don't know if it discourages people from commenting, because it's like, if you comment on videos, you know you're going to get scam replies, you know? Or, you know, the profile of some man saying, hey, how are you today?
Yeah, I tried to send you a friend request.
Yeah.
We try to ban, on Facebook, we can ban those people.
It doesn't do any good because they just pop up again, like the same day.
Yeah, I'll get like a ton of notifications in a row from like David Joseph, or some like random name like that, and it's so I can click on it and I ban that person immediately as soon as I see them. But it doesn't mean that somebody hasn't seen it already, or sometimes some of them slip through the cracks and I don't see it. We try to clean up the comment section as much as possible, but there's just no way.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right that it's not legitimate. Never follow anything like that. Anything that's asking you for any information or friend requests, we don't do that.
Hopefully, I mean, I can't imagine that people, the reason scammers do it is because it works. Some percentage, you know, some percentage of the time it works. And that's what's frustrating, is that there are people that fall for it. I wish if people just quit falling for it, they'd quit doing it, because it wouldn't be worth their time.
Mavis said, where did you get the trellises that you showed? I've been thinking about putting one in the area of my front yard, and something similar to yours would be perfect. Did I show these? The Panacea giant trellis, there's 3 of them. I was in this area, so that would be the only area I would show a trellis, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them attached to the house. Those came from Gardener Supply. Drew said, does Proven Winners produce impatiens like the way they do the super petunias? I've noticed you never plant or mention impatiens in your landscape. Any reason? They do. Which ones did I plant this year?
Well, you planted some sun patiens this year.
I planted the ones along the chicken coop. Were gorgeous.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get the name. It was Compact Blush Pink, if I remember right. Compact Blush Pink. Yeah, sun patiens are the ones that Proven Winners has, and they can do sun and shade. And so I did the Compact Blush Pink and had such great luck. Like, they were clean, they didn't have bugs, and I've had issues with spider mites on impatiens before. And the color was beautiful. They were constantly in flower, so I will be doing more of that. And let me tell you what, we are going to be planting a ton of Surefire rose begonias next year. Those performed. I mean, they're still performing.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are almost November, like a couple days from November, and they're just like as glorious as they were in the middle of summer.
They have no issues with iron deficiencies. Nope. They have no issues with bugs, no disease.
No water issues. Like, they don't show any kind of...
I think they need a lot of water.
Do they? Well, in that
area... They get some overhead water right there.
They do, and they're not showing hard water spots.
Baller.
Yeah, they're
it's a baller plant.
Okay, next video is tour of plants with pretty berries and filling my flower press. I just needed a peaceful day. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I think I said that. Like, the kids had been sick, Aaron had been sick. I just needed a time out in the garden just to look at pretty things, and I had a really good time. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, just like going around and taking a closer look at some pretty things. Then I harvested some flowers and filled up my flower press. It was a good day. Top comment was from Life with Markel Vlogs. Said, hello Laura, pray all is well with the kiddos. I'm from the Caribbean, Turks and Caicos Islands. You inspired me to start my very first veggie garden this year. Awesome. The feeling of picking and eating food that you grew with your own hands is indescribable. My family was so impressed and I inspired them to start as well. Thanks so much and continue to inspire others. That's so awesome. I love to read comments like that so much, to hear that you were inspired and then you in turn inspired other people, and like it's that trickle effect, and that's awesome. Henry said, can you recommend a crabapple for a tiny garden, please? Yeah, lollipop. Lollipop's a great one. We had one right in front of the gazebo, and I will be planting again, but they grow 10 by 10. But you can keep them pruned. They're a really good one if you want like a topiary type, like a really tight lollipop. I had 4 of them in our townhouse garden in each corner of our formal garden area around a fountain, and I kept them in a sphere form. They produce really beautiful little red berries.
That was a really small space too.
Yeah, it was a very small space. I had 4 and beautiful white blooms in the spring. It's a great variety. Anna's vlog said, what is the difference between a violet and a pansy? Pansies typically have bigger flowers, violets have smaller flowers, and violets are perennial in most cases, and pansies are not. Pansies, though, will usually, they're fairly cold tolerant, so if you have a mild winter, they'll usually survive. If they don't, they oftentimes will reseed themselves. Jenny said, love the crabapple tour. For the winter, do you suggest putting burlap sacks around the trunk to protect it at all? We do not. I know some people wrap their, evergreens in particular. Yeah. We've never done that here. Maybe that would be good. I don't really know. I know that on Mackinac Island, they wrap a lot of the evergreens.
Well, they get a lot of wind, and I think the bitter cold from the lake.
The water. Mm-hmm.
Is that a lake? Yeah, it's a lake. What else would it be?
The ocean.
Well, it's huge.
It is huge. It's like an ocean, kind of.
We don't have lakes like that around here.
No. Kara said, Laura, what will you do with the flowers in your press? They are just beautiful, and I'm anxious to see how you use them. I have no idea. I always find a reason or a way I want to use them, though. Usually in the winter, when I'm craving to do something with flowers, I think, I wish I had more dried flowers to use. I do have a small handful from last fall that I pressed, but it's nice to have some fresh ones. So I usually go for the more colorful ones first. So I usually end up with a lot of just leaves and things. So it's nice to have a fresh batch. So I don't know exactly how I'll use them, but I'll figure something out. Donna said, were those actual artichokes that you eat, or were those a decorative type of artichoke? No, those are actual ones you can eat. I had no idea that our artichokes would produce so much. I started those from seed in January. Did I start those before Samantha was born? I think I might have. Possibly. Anyway, started those from seed, and they are kind of temperate, they like more of a mild growing zone. I don't know that they're going to survive here, but we're going to mulch them up and see what happens. But they produce, I would say, an average of 15 to 20 artichokes per plant.
Wow.
Yeah, out in the cut flower garden. Now, the ones that I started from the water jugs, I had differing results. One of them is huge, producing artichokes like crazy. They've got beautiful artichokes on them right now. There's one that just produced this big mass of gorgeous leaves. And then the other one got about this big, and it produced one little tiny artichoke, and then just withered up and died. I don't know what happened to it. But I mean, starting them in a water jug and watering them one time, maybe twice, and then just having them do as well as they did, that was a good experiment. Good success on that one. RG said, will you please post a link for your flower press? Did we put one below that video?
I'm pretty sure we put a link for it.
I think it's called the Heirloom Flower Press from Gardener Supply. Yeah. Next video is project updates. So we just wanted to get out and show you guys where things were, where we stood with projects toward the end of October. Many of them are still in process, and we'll button them up this fall yet. Some of them will go over into next year, but we looked at the cut flower shed, which since that video, the front wall is now framed in, so you can see where the door is and the windows are. We looked at the big grass lawn, talked about that. We showed you the tree that was recently run over by the garbage truck driver. And we showed you the Hartley and talked about HVAC and where we're at with that. And then ended at the greenhouse that was just converted from a cold frame to an actual greenhouse. So now when we refer to the greenhouse, we're referring to the plastic greenhouse with the cedar shakes. When we refer to the Hartley, it's the Hartley. And
we only have 2 things right now.
We've got the Hartley
and the greenhouse
and the cut flower shed.
Yeah.
And it'll just probably always be called the cut flower shed. Maybe we'll just end up calling it the shed.
Yeah.
Because it'll be the only shed we have.
Yeah.
So Tony said, hey Laura, how are you guys managing with keeping Russell off of the cold frame, aka heated greenhouse? Loving all that you're doing. Well, so far it's not a problem unless we're in there. If we're in there with the door shut trying to film, that's when he gets on top of it and wants to be inside. So far we haven't had an issue. I don't know what we're gonna do exactly.
We still could try to order some
those strips that have...
the strips that they're like plastic spikes kind of. I mean, would never hurt them, but is uncomfortable and hard for them to
maneuver.
crawl, supposedly.
I don't know. I think
He'd probably just go right around.
He would just go right up the plastic. Just
right.
Like right up the plastic with his nails.
I don't know that there's a whole lot that we can do.
Somebody
except
said
for,
metal flashing because it's slick. Foil,
but
tin
again,
foil.
he can just jump right up the plastic. He'll just climb right
I
up.
know.
I think if we're like vigilant and we have a hose ready with a spray, because that doesn't hurt him either.
No.
And it just tells him like, don't be around here, don't climb up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
MK Hook says, when possibilities become reality, it ignites a bigger fire inside of us. Can't wait to see what's next for you and your beautiful family. So happy for all of your success. Thanks for sharing your gifts and talents with us. God bless. It's true that when possibilities become reality, it doesn't ignite. Like, you just kind of want to like keep going forward with that momentum. You feel that momentum going.
Sure.
And you feel like, oh, I can let's go tackle this or tackle that. Yeah.
The top comments are always so nice.
I know. We're lucky.
I'm happy that people don't like thumbs up. Like, these people are idiots.
Yeah, a bunch of people thumbs them up.
Like that comment.
Caitlin says, so does a trash company pay for the damage to your property? Are they buying you a new tree? Yep, they are.
They contacted us and told us that they hit it. And then they just said, tell us how much it costs to fix it. And so I figured out how much it would cost, like man hours and everything, like our time to replant it. And so I told them a price, and they didn't bulk at all.
They just credited our account.
Yeah.
So we can just go out and get ourselves a new tree in the spring.
Yeah.
Hopefully one that's relatively the same size as the others, and we'll get it planted. At least it's not like right up, like in the line. It's not in the line of maples. It was kind of on its own. So even if it's a little smaller, it won't matter.
And they didn't have that much growth.
No,
hardly at all.
But the root system wasn't like.
I asked Paul.
Hopeful.
I asked Paul to pull it out, and he did with the tractor, and he said the root system was
He
pretty.
said the tractor had a hard time.
Yeah.
Like the tractor had a hard time pulling it out.
That tractor can pull. Well, it can lift somewhere around like 20, close to 2,500 pounds, maybe. Mm-hmm. So that's really great. Even though we didn't see a ton of upward momentum with them, knowing that their root systems were doing that underneath the soil, that is great. April says, what brand is your jacket, Laura? I don't know how to pronounce it. Fall Raven? It's a foreign brand. Oh.
I just bought it not long ago. It's kind of a rain. It's not very thick. It's a perfect one to wear over sweatshirts and things. Cry Bastion said, have you considered putting in a small row of windows along the top of the south wall? You mentioned no windows on that wall, but it would bring in nice light. South wall. Windows along the south wall.
Of the shed.
Oh. Talking about the shed. I had not considered that. No, I don't know if it would work up high. I mean, we were trying to think of what would work for filming purposes too. I mean, it'd be nice to have a solid backdrop. We'll have light I'll have sheer curtains that we can pull if we need to kind of diffuse the light a little bit. It'll almost be like our diffuser popping open, but we can just just pull the curtains that way, kind of like the sun porch. I'll do something a little heavier than those probably. Something that can block a little bit of the light. But if you have no light behind you, it's kind of nice because then you can use artificial light back there, lamps and such, and you can create your look that will stay the same. I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on that. I mean, if we did them high enough, would that be something that would be workable?
It just depends on...
Or would it blow it out too much and make it look super bright above me?
How often are you actually going to film right there?
Oh, who knows? I don't know.
Maybe never?
Maybe all the time.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we could add windows later, right?
True. Also, he framed it in to where we could put in a second door back there too, because I had thought about putting like a little, like a wall fountain back there on the fence and creating like almost like the secret little grotto spot.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
If we don't end up using it for filming in the way we think we will, it'd be nice to have a flow through right there.
Yeah.
I'll just have to move the pear tree. Michelle said, with so many windows in the flower shed, will there be wall space to hang tools? I think you mentioned storing tools you use in that area. My potting shed has lots of windows, and I don't care for the look of things in front of the windows. I am with you on that. I do not like it when I see stuff clustered around windows. Most of our tools will be in the barn. The tools we use the most out there are like a hula hoe. Like a hula hoe. And I think that'll be it.
You could hang some tools on the back potentially if you don't use
On the back of the shed.
Yeah.
Or below the windows, it can just go horizontal, or we can just lean it up in the corner, in the back corner. Mostly what we'll have in there is buckets and vases and like hand tools more than anything else. And then fertilizers won't have to be in there. Like Biotone is behind the orchard fence, so we shouldn't have to use up a bunch of space that way. The space will evolve too, so we'll figure it out, hopefully. Jennifer said, what is canker? Can you talk a little more in depth about the subject? I've never heard of that. Canker is a disease in trees. It's an airborne fungus that can enter in, and it causes like the sap that I showed you. It can cause like sunken in looking areas. The only way really to get rid of it is to prune it out, and because it's happened on the trunk of this tree, which happened most likely because the trunk got bumped, like when we had those trees all of last year. And so over the course of the winter, we had them behind the greenhouse. They weren't tied up and they kept falling over. One of them fell, probably that one, fell on one of the raised beds back there and kind of scraped up the trunk there. And so that's probably where it entered in. And so since it's on the trunk, I think the only way of getting rid of it is to get rid of the tree. And I don't want it to spread to anything else. So anyway, I can talk more in depth about it. Maybe we'll just do a video about it, and I can show you what it looks like. If it was just on little branches up top and I didn't see any evidence of it like lower in the tree, I'd probably try to save the tree. Lovely Autumn said, should you ever move? Are you planning to take that Hartley with you? But seriously, thank you for the video and the transparency of your renovations, successes and fails of planting, and even plans for new projects. I always enjoy seeing the end results. I'm going to go through some home renovations myself, and your videos remind me that there's certainly light at the end of the tunnel. Would we take the Hartley with us? Would we move? We talk about all kinds of things all the time. I think I put a little bit, I mean, largely I don't put a ton of attachment on things, but I'm slightly attached to the house in particular because it's where we had babies. Sure. You know? I don't know. Like there's a hominess and coziness to it. Yeah. For me, there's a lot I would change about the house. You too. Like I think you would change the entire thing. And there's a lot of things that I would change. And I think especially if we make those changes, which we've really been seriously talking about doing some major renovations, I think if we do those and make things a little bit more, like the flow a little bit better and maybe, you know, more to your taste and more to my taste, I think the more we do of that, the less we'll want to move. However, I think if we found the perfect piece of property. Like, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes I feel like, boy, I would love to have like 100 acres with a smaller house. Yeah. You know what I mean? Uh-huh. Sometimes I feel like this is a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's like, boy, I would love to have just like trees surrounding like 100 acres. My house is in the middle of it. Yeah. And something more manageable and just, you know. Yeah, for sure. But again, you know, with renovations, if you fix the flow, and I mean, we've got some good ideas to make things to where we would really like it. Yeah. And we would utilize all the space pretty much with those changes. Yeah. I think, because right now there's so many like little bedrooms, you know, there's a lot of bedrooms in the house, but they're little and they're not, like, it's hard to fit a queen size bed in one, you know, and with a dresser. Yeah. You know, that would be really, really tight. And that's just not super, you know, I don't know. So I think if we knock down some walls and fix some stuff and move things around a little bit, we'll feel differently. Yeah. Who knows? This house would be good for a large family. Yeah. With a lot of kids, if you wanted to separate them all into different rooms. Well, I think at one time the owners before Dennis and Mary fostered kids. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So I think it was set up perfectly for that. Yeah. That situation. Anyway, we have no plans on moving at the moment at all. D-Bird said, why doesn't the Hartley company include options for heating and cooling? Big mistake. Aftermarket stuff will look clumsy. You see Manic today. Hope you are okay. I see Manic today. Is that the coffee question was on a different video? Did I see Manic? No. Maybe, do they not know what Manic means? You didn't seem Manic to me. I don't even know what that means. The first part of the question was interesting. It's an English company, and I don't think that people put heating or cooling in their greenhouse. I think you're right, except for while they are trying to expand into the US and stuff, that's something that I think would be a really good thing for them to add, because it was something that we had to figure out on our own. Yeah. And I feel like when you're putting that much of an investment into something, then there needs to be a little bit more hand-holding, possibly, in a couple of those things. Like, here are some options you can do that look really good that incorporate into the design. And they gave us some options, but I did feel like that part was sort of lacking. Like, they do a lot of hand-holding. I mean, it's like a luxury product, and so there's a lot of hand-holding that they do, as they should, you know, when they charge a premium price. But
Yeah, I feel like they could probably have like more literature and more like really high quality photos showing different options that different customers
Probably
have
something
done.
they're working on too.
It probably is.
Because it's something they're developing right now. So,
But at the end of the day, I think the vast majority of people don't actually put anything in there. They just they have a greenhouse, and then everything else, like they'll just bring a floor heater or something. I'll bet a floor heater is the most popular option.
I mean, we're not the only extreme climate, you know?
Yeah.
So it would be nice for there to be some really clear options that people can be like, well, option A looks good for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to go for, so let's try that. Okay, the last video from this week was late fall planting, which we had to upload twice. So we uploaded it and there was something wrong with the audio. There was something wrong in Final Cut Pro in the editing process.
Yeah, it was really weird. So it's complicated, but yeah, there was an issue with the audio, but when you played it in Final Cut Pro in the editing program, it sounded fine.
Yeah.
But when you export it, it sounds bad, and I just didn't listen to it. You know, we upload every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm just so accustomed to it always sounding fine for the most part.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I reviewed the video pre.
You watched it while it was in Final Cut Pro before I exported it. So I don't know. I didn't, and that's the other problem we upload all our videos at 5 a.m. our time, and I hate, I think people like that time because, you know, people on the East Coast can watch it at 7.
It's just available.
Yeah, it's just available in the morning. But man, like I'm still sleeping when that thing goes up. And so like we're not able to catch issues. Like one of my greatest fears is that like you and I have arguments.
Never.
Hopefully that's not a surprise to anyone. But like I'm petrified that, you know, because we'll even have, we don't like yell at each other, but we'll have like really intense conversations where like we both have opinions about something, you know, and it gets recorded oftentimes, like Ken sees it, you know, like poor Ken. But you know, he edits those things out, but like mistakes in the editing program can happen, and you can accidentally like undo a cut that you just made. And you know, we review the videos, but they go up at 5 a.m. and I'm afraid that one day like an argument or something that you and I have just goes live to the world. And I would assume like nobody would probably be like all that surprised if something like that were to ever happen.
It might make people feel like, okay.
Like, oh look, they also fight.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where we were at with that. Oh, the audio. Yeah, I think that was the first comment. Is it me or their mic's broken or something? They sound scratchy. When I very first heard it, it didn't actually sound that bad to me.
Oh, it was horrible to me.
I'm not that like in
It was
tune.
distorted is what it was.
It sounded like my jacket, which happens all the time. Like either my hair will be on my mic and kind of like right. Can you hear that? You know? Or like it'll be hitting this part of my coat,
or you'll just be moving around. I'll bet right now your jacket's making noise on the.
It's not touching anything. It's in the
no,
air.
But just the sound of it.
Oh, just the sound of my coat like that.
Coat.
Yeah. So that happens quite often, and I just thought, oh, it was my coat. I was wearing a different coat that day, and so I thought, well, maybe I can't wear that one for videos. I don't know, but I'm glad it was a editing issue and not a wardrobe issue, because that always makes me feel bad because you can't fix that afterward. GE Appliances said, hey there, we hear you're having trouble with your Opal ice maker. Did we talk about it in the last recap? I think
that's maybe the only time that we've mentioned it.
One of you guys, I'm guessing one of you guys let the GE company know, because I haven't addressed it yet. Our Opal ice maker that we bought was working beautifully, and I mean we used it constantly.
Yeah.
And then it started making the most horrific noises, and it was kind of working, and then it just stopped working altogether, and I just haven't looked into it yet. So one of you guys probably let GE know, and they actually commented, because I'm guessing GE Appliances doesn't watch our garden answer videos. I mean, maybe they do, maybe somebody there does, but anyway, so they gave us an avenue to figure out how to get this thing handled, which is awesome. So thank you, GE Appliances, for commenting, and thank you to whoever alerted them about it. Sally said, Laura, what is the large concrete square that looks like a sunken planter by the maple and hedge you just planted up? Kind of an odd looking. That is our like well area. That's where it goes, like attaches to our house, and water comes through there. We had a little like wood shake roof over the whole thing, and it was so cumbersome and heavy, and it was falling apart. So we just got rid of it. We've got to get something over that, Aaron, for the winter. We just need to do some kind of a lid.
Paul was telling me that he's got an idea for like some type of like a crank, something that we
like
can lift up.
The lid.
Yeah, and then have some hooks on the wall of the house.
The other one required 2 people. Like there were 2 handles on
heavy.
each side, and it was heavy. Like it was a full-on heavy roof. Army Wife Life said, can you maybe give some good tips about wintering over things in their pots without killing them? I bought about 10 perennials and shrubs on clearance, but I'm unable to get them planted in the ground because I really want to get the infrastructure in first. Won't happen until spring. We have done a video about it before, probably 4
years ago.
It was before kids. I know that. There was snow on the ground. There's Cheddar. Hey, buddy. So we will maybe link that video down below, but the best thing you can possibly do is hill your plants in. If you could dig a hole somewhere in your garden and then line your plants up in their pots, you don't have to take them out of their pots, and then just cover the whole pots over with soil so that they're insulated. That's the best thing you can do. Make sure to still keep them watered. When you have them in containers like that and you need to keep them above the ground, water them every 2 weeks. If they're in the ground, probably, it depends on how much moisture you're getting, but probably every 3-4 weeks or something like that. Will be just fine. You can also huddle them together, like maybe in a protected area on the south side of your house where like some radiant heat, like the sun shining on the side of your house, will kind of help keep them a little bit warmer. And then put bags of potting soil, which you can use a potting soil the next spring. Just pick up a few extra bags, huddle your plants together, and then just line the outside with potting soil. That's what we're going to be doing behind our greenhouse with all of our leftover perennials that we're not able to get in the ground, which maybe today we'll get more in the ground. I don't know, maybe we'll plant some bulbs today. That's probably what we should do. Anyway, that's the best things you can do. If you can still plant them if you said you've got to get infrastructure in, so I get that. The other thing you can do is if you are planning on putting any of them in containers, you can still go ahead and plant them. Just make sure the containers are as large as you can manage and make sure you keep them well watered. That's about it. Last question. Glad everyone is on the mend, but I asked Laura, how did you not get sick? Do you have other superpowers we aren't aware of?
That's a good question. How come you never get sick?
I don't know. You know what? I do know. It's because I don't wear gloves all the time. So everybody can stop harassing me about not wearing gloves, although I have been. So I'm going to start getting sick probably because I'm like protecting myself from germs. I don't know. I don't worry about, like, I'm not... Like, I wash my hands before I cook, and I wash my hands before I go, like, pick Samantha up and after I've been outside. But, like, I don't worry too much about stuff like that. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
You just need to not worry about it so much.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even know. When was the last time I got, like, a sore throat or a cold?
Yeah.
It's been, like, years.
Has it really?
Yeah. Now, I do take vitamins. You want to know what vitamins I take? Because I started taking vitamins when I was pregnant with Benjamin, and then I kind of fell off a little bit and didn't take them right after. I took them while I was nursing Benjamin, and then I stopped taking them. But I take a multi. I take magnesium. I take D, vitamin D. I take calcium, and that's it.
Huh.
I take those.
Gummy vitamins?
Well, gummy vitamins for sure. What kind of person takes non-gummy vitamins? Like, it's candy time, man.
Yeah. I wonder how many people can't stop themselves with the gummy vitamins and just like eat the whole bottle.
Like,
I wonder if that would make you sick.
I think it would. I mean, they're sweet, but they're not like candy.
Do they have a lot of sugar in them?
I think so.
Do they? How many calories are each gummy?
I don't know. It's probably like a piece of candy.
Really?
Worth it. Worth it.
Well, hey, you're not getting sick.
No.
So.
All right, guys, that's it for today's or this week's recap video. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. We've got some big projects maybe that'll happen this week. I think we're going to start bulb planting this afternoon, and that might take
days.
Yeah, except for a lot of our bulbs this year are not big. I ordered heavy on little bulbs, so it shouldn't be as labor intensive. But I don't know. And then we have dahlia digging to do.
We've got more help this year too.
Yes, we do. So you will see help in both of those projects coming in, because it would take me a full week to do each one of those projects by myself. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a great day. Have a great week, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.